guys. Welcome to Jerry's Facebook Live. As always, I'm your host, Amy Gardner-Dean. We have an awesome show in line for. Sorry, we were looking at Chris Evans and swooning a little bit ago. We apparently both have a Captain America fetish, which is awesome. So we're going to be doing resin pendants today, and Hannah has brought all sorts of really awesome examples. We're going to be making multiple projects here shortly, and having lots of fun while doing it, I'm sure. If you are not a member of our Jerry's Facebook Live private Facebook group, you probably should be. It's a great way to get notes about each show after the fact. We will post them live in the group if it's something where I've given a talk on it and it's something you want to know, or product reviews or things like that. We put those in there. That's a good way to follow us. Also, we're starting to get a lot of new members, which is really awesome, both to the group and also watching us on Facebook Live, which is great, and we appreciate you joining us. Something you may want to know. I'm getting a lot of people that are like, I missed the episode last week, or, whenever. I would like to, have watched it, but I was out of town, and I'm really sad that I didn't get to see it. Well, you know what you can do? They're there, I think, to haunt me for eternity online on our Jerry's Artarama Facebook page. If you look at kind of the menu on the side there, it will say videos. You click on that, it pulls up all the videos that have been posted on Jerry's Facebook Live. It will give you those Facebook Live videos. I think there's some that are cataloged for 2017, correct, Katie? Mm-hmm. And then the new ones are being started to be put in there. And just if you scroll down, I think it's got all the videos in the order in which they've been put up. Is that correct as well? Mm-hmm. So they're always there. They live on the Facebook page for better or worse, for funnier or not, for exciting or maybe not as exciting. We've had a few that, not like this will be very exciting, but we've had a few sleepers, I think, probably at some point in 58 episodes, but they're there for you to watch at any time. Sometimes people are like, I wish you'd do pastels. Guess what we have? It's already there. So if there's something that you've always wanted to see us do and you're newer to the group, go back through those videos, because there's a chance we've touched on it in some way, shape, or form in a past video, and it's there already for you to watch. So just word to the wise, that's there at your disposal for your enjoyment and for your learning excitement, as it were. So I think with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started on this. Now, I've known Hannah. This is Hannah Stayton.
Hello.
She is a really awesome local artist to us. I guess the Wake Forest area is probably what you go with. She and I've actually known each other for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, almost 2 years. It's close to 2 years.
Yeah, so she's I just love her to death. She's this incredible. You're young. I'm not going to say kid because you're not a kid.
Oh,
but
you can call me a kid. It's okay. I call me a kid.
Well, you are a kid compared to me. She's like 20 years younger than me. She's a kid, but that being said, her depth of ability and creativity and sense of color, and just, I think the things that she's already done with her artistic career and where she wants to go from that are so much further along than I was at that age, and it's just really exciting to see. I follow all of her social media because I love to see what she's doing, and she posts every day, which is just makes the rest of us look bad. But Frida will put up at some point her information if you'd like to follow her kind of once you've seen her, but she always has all these really cool things. You've got a character that you're going to do a children's book with. Yep. You've got the little claymation turtle.
Stop motion, yeah.
Yes, she does stop motion video with this just adorable little turtle. You have a Mermaids and Mermans daily one that you're doing now.
For May.
She was, if you watched our beginning of the year show where we did the artistic self-improvement and to do, an illustration or sketch or a little painting or something a day, this was the inspiration. That was Hannah, because I watched her do it all last year, and I was like, hey, we should be doing that. So Hannah's kind of like a muse for people. So it was only natural when I saw that she was doing resin pendants, and I bought a few that I was like, this is something that's so fun, and anybody can learn to do it, and it's just kind of like a nice artistic break to do something that's still creative, but especially for gifts and stuff for friends and all that.
Yeah.
So then you're not, having to give expensive paintings or something that requires as much work. You can do something that's still very creative and that's something people will really appreciate and enjoy. So with that being said, I'm gonna take it away, give it here to Hannah, and she is going to teach us how to do resin pendants. It's gonna be awesome.
All right. Well, first, we're going to talk about two main types of resin that you will come across in craft stores. The type I use, which is epoxy resin, and most of the time they'll say on the box, but sometimes if it's for glazing, they will not tell you what type of resin it is. But the way you tell is if it's epoxy resin, there will be either 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 ratio. There'll be 2 bottles in there that are almost the same size. Now, there's another type called polyester resin, and that's the type a lot of people are scared of because it has the strong smell. It's not as safe to come in contact with your hands, and it's just a little bit more finicky to work with. The advantages, though, to polyester resin, it depends on the project you're working on. If you want to cast large pieces, or you want to be able to sand and buff or turn it on a lathe, you'll want to use polyester because it's a hard resin.
Okay.
And it's better for big projects. That people use it for furniture, people use it for turning on the lathe. I've seen a lot of woodworkers who actually work with this resin. But I choose not to use it because I work indoors, and that polyester resin is not a type of resin you want to use indoors. Because it requires a lot of ventilation. You probably need to wear a respirator, you need to wear gloves. I tend to go for the epoxy resin, which is skin safe, relatively skin safe. Probably want to wear latex gloves if you haven't worked with it before, because you never know if you might have allergic reaction. But I have worked with it for about 8 years, so I know I'm not going to have allergic reaction to it. And I have very sensitive skin. And it also does not have as bad a smell. It smells a little bit, but I don't even have to wear a mask when I use it, and it's like this close to my face when I'm working with it. So I choose to use it for that reason, and because it has a slower drying or curing time, and you have much longer time to work with it. Polyester resin, there are different types. Some of them cure within minutes. Some of them cure within a couple hours, but you usually only have like a 5-minute pop time where you can have it in the cup that you stirred it in. Epoxy resin, you can have that for up to 40 minutes. The types I use, usually about 20 minutes. So you got 20 minutes to play around with it.
So definitely if you're using like found objects and things like that, you've got to be going with the, okay, that makes sense.
And it works really well for jewelry too because it's usually a thicker resin.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of control where it goes a little bit better. I like to use it in bezels because it will not spill over the sides as easily.
Now explain what bezels are because that's not everybody knows that.
Let me pull one out for you.
Katie, can you show, she's going to show a bezel. It's easier to see up close.
Sorry,
No, that's fine.
Bezels are these little metal frames that you can either put photographs or resin, or I've seen people even like glue beads in there. But you can buy them. I bought these on Amazon, but you can buy them at most craft stores. And that's what I use to make.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of those.
These here. I just take photographs and I'll put them in the bezels and I'll pour resin on top. And it's really great for photographs.
It's great if you take photographs of your artwork, things that people like that maybe, you've got a $500 or $600 plus price tag on that people really enjoy, they really like. They can't necessarily afford that, but that's a great way for them to actually be able to wear your art and promote you, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I like to make pieces of art that people can wear. I love wearing my own art. And I love teeny tiny little pieces of art, and this is the best way to do that because you can shrink it down as small as you want and put it in a teeny tiny necklace. I just love it. All right, so if we're going to make resin, we need something to put the resin in if we don't have a bezel. So first we're going to talk about making molds.
Okay.
And a very easy mold maker to work with is this Cast and Craft silicone putty. It is a 1-to-1 ratio putty, and you just take a, well, you're supposed to measure it out by weight, but I usually eyeball it. Take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and mix them together, and they form a hard, well, it's not really hard, it's rubbery mold.
That's awesome.
And you can pretty much make a mold out of anything.
Sorry, I'm peeking your head.
All right, so I've got these
cool.
crystals. What? I've got a button, and I've got a bead, and I've also got a polymer clay piece. You can make models out of polymer clay, and then make molds from them so you can cast them in resin.
That's awesome. Katie, can you show these?
So what do you want to make a mold?
I'm going to show this so you can see that you can actually make the mold from that.
And this is actually just polymer clay that I put some sand in to give it kind of the crystal
where you did the
look.
little crystals too, right? Mm-hmm. She actually took like a crystal and look at the detail where you can see all the little facets.
It's really great for
in there.
detail.
The light help. There we go. Is that better? Look at that. Isn't that cool? That gets really great detail.
It does. It really does.
And it's so durable. That's I'm used to using the old 2-part that was not as strong. This is much more durable than the type of rubber molds that we used in college. So, but that was just a go. So, and if you didn't hear that, that was on purpose. That's awesome. Now, when do you wear gloves when you use this? When you mix it, do you mix it together by hand?
Necessary.
Really?
Yeah, it's not necessary. It's really skin safe. There's a lot of mineral oil in it.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of like coats your hands. It doesn't really stick to your hands. It'll get under your nails, but you can always wash that off.
Yeah. But that's awesome, and I love the color. It's easy to find after the fact, and plus it's probably easy to see what the colors, lighter colors that you've poured in it.
It is very easy to see if you're using opaque colors. If you're using like if you're tinting the resin rather than coloring the resin, it might be a little harder to see. Like for these, I'll be using alcohol ink, and it's a little harder to see where the alcohol ink is. But I mean, if you use it and practice with it, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to tell. All right.
Very cool. All right.
Let's show them how to make a mold. Which one do you want to use to make?
Decisions. I don't know. I'll just. I don't know. Pick one for me.
Okay, we'll do this.
This is where I can't make up my mind because I want to do all of them. Okay.
We'll do this crystal right here.
Okay.
All right. So we take this. It's sticking to my hand. There we go. We take about that much of the purple.
Oh, it's so squishy.
I know, it's so much fun.
How many times can you reuse the molds?
You can use them until they break. I've had some that I think they're 3 years old, and I have cast about 20 to 50 pieces in them.
Dang.
And I have not had a problem with it. I only had one crack on me, and that was because I had to piece it together. You can kind of see on the bottom here where I had to patch a piece. That might break off because it was kind of after the fact, after it cured. But for the most part, they're very durable. All right, I think I need a little bit more.
Can I just stand here and squish this all together?
It's very therapeutic.
I'm just like, it's like having somebody pet your hair.
Exactly.
It's that same sensation, but it's just having
They make
clay
thinking putty like that.
Yeah.
That's like one of those fidget things.
You know how regular terracotta clay, it dries and it pulls the moisture out of your hand and it feels like weird.
Yeah.
This is like the opposite of that.
Yeah, because it's got so much oil in it.
It's fantastic.
It's moisturizing.
I'll just be standing here all day like drooling.
Well, here, you can.
Okay, all right.
That one.
Okay, so
Can we zoom
All right.
in
yeah.
on the mold making?
All right.
Yeah, let me turn this light on so we can use this to see too.
About equal parts. And
Set
you
this up
just
over
smush
here.
them together, and you keep kneading them until they are, there's no striations, there's
I'll
no
stand right here.
lines in here. You want to make sure there's no marbling. You want it to be completely mixed in. And you have one of the disadvantages to working with this is it cures very quickly. So you have to get it mixed and get your piece in it within 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the only really disadvantage to working with this.
Okay.
It's very fun.
That being said, so much easier than the two-part.
Yes, you don't have to pour
doing
anything.
the two-part latex molds. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like the fourth time, I'd already screwed it up because you had to do the weigh it with like the little drug dealer scale.
Yes. All right, so now we have our mold, and we just push our piece in and kind of form it around there.
What?
And it takes about, like I said, 5 minutes to set up, and then you can just pop your piece out.
Wow.
And they say if you're going to use resin in it, to let it sit for 24 hours.
Okay.
But I recommend, from my experience, letting it sit at least 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Because as it cures, I mean, you know how much oil
Yeah.
is coming off of
Yeah.
it? More oil comes out.
Right.
So you want to make sure all of the oil is gone, because oil does not like resin, and resin does not like oil. It will bubble.
Oh,
And yes.
Plus,
and
especially with this piece being thicker than, say, these other ones,
yeah,
it
the deeper
probably takes
pieces,
longer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want them to sit a lot longer to make sure that all the oil has come out, and it actually releases some gases while it cures, and you want to make sure all the gases are released, or you will get bubbles in your resin, or the resin will not cure. And we don't want that.
Sounds like something very bad.
So what I do is I let it sit for 3 days. Then I take rubbing alcohol and I'll pour it into the mold. This just kind of absorbs the oil,
Mm-hmm.
gets rid of it, disperses it, and let it sit for a couple seconds. Then I dump that out, rinse it out, and then I wash it with Dawn dish detergent because that will get rid of the rest of the grease.
Mm-hmm.
Then you let it sit for another day. So it's about 4 days before you can actually use it.
But the beauty of it is all the things you want to mold,
Yes.
do it during
Do it
that
in big
time,
batch.
and then you clean all the things at once, so then you've got a
Yes.
bunch of molds ready to go when you are ready.
Mm-hmm. You just have to be patient. Patience is key with resin. It taught me a lot about patience.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
Oh, I bet. I love the purple color, Katie!
I know. And you can feel it's already starting to
Holy
cure.
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if we
that's
give that
awesome.
a few
Yeah.
more minutes, and it will completely cure.
That's awesome.
And then it will be just like these.
Oh wait, that was not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But I feel how it's already firming. Oh, you probably didn't feel it when it was squishy because we weren't allowing it.
It was very, very squishy.
Yes, it was very.
It is oily. I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little off.
Oh.
And you definitely want to mix it in small batches and do like 1 or 2 pieces, and then get some more out and
Yes.
mix it and do 1 or 2
Mhm.
pieces, because it cures in about 5 minutes. So unless you just like shove the stuff in really quick.
Have your things ready that you
Yes.
want to do that
Exactly.
with, so that you can go ahead and.
I've had it set up on me before I'd actually gotten the piece in. Yeah, I've had that happen.
Yay!
But yeah, then it takes detail really well. They say you can use it from everything from polymer clay to resin to even food. I have not used it for food, but they say you can.
make chocolate, Katie. Amanda.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Frida.
there you
Frida's like, oh.
go. I would definitely wash it with dish detergent then. Before
Yeah.
you do
It is,
that.
but it's food grade. That's really awesome.
It is.
Well, you could even so you could even cast these with terracotta. You press it in, let it harden, take it out. You can then fire that.
Yeah, you could.
Uh-oh. Why are we jazz handing over there, ladies? Yes.
I've seen people use it with fondant for cakes and stuff.
Yes.
Oh.
It can be used with fondant. I think that's what most people use it for. I don't think they bake in it as much as use it for fondant molds, because it is the exact same material as the fondant molds you buy at a craft store. So the possibilities
want
are endless.
To make molds of everything in my life now.
Yes.
Don't look at me like that, Frida.
Yeah, I get all my jewelry out and I go, what do I really like?
Yeah,
and what do
yeah.
I want to make millions
Yeah,
of?
yeah. I'm seeing that.
That's why I love to do like the crystals.
Yeah.
I'll just buy like a bunch of crystals at the craft store and just like shove them all in the molds, and I'm like, I can do whatever color crystal I want now.
Yay. All right. Let's make more
All right.
stuff. I'm very excited. I'm
So-
sorry.
Now, if you have a mold like this, you'll want to, you can put pretty much anything in it. Like over here I have flowers.
Oh yeah, show these.
I have
You want me to pull this over so it's easier to see?
the flowers, and I have this turtle, and that turtle as well. And also you can put paper in it. I put the paper in the bezels, but you can also put it in the clear molds as well. And so then you're gonna want to prep your items.
All
We're
right.
gonna talk about how to prep your items to put in resin.
Isn't that pretty?
Resin does not do well with oil, and resin does not do well with water. So anything that you find outside, like flowers, leaves, you'll want to dry it. And I usually dry my flowers just by putting them between 2 paper towels and putting a heavy object on top. You can also put them between paper towels, put a plate on top, and stick it in the microwave for like 15-second intervals until it's dry. And so I do my flowers in big batches, and I have a bunch of flowers here for us.
Oh, yay.
And so then we want to talk about prepping paper, because paper is very hard to put in resin, because the resin will permeate, because it's porous, the resin will permeate the paper and it will turn the paper clear. And you don't want that. You want to still be able to see it. So we need something to cover our paper to create a barrier between the paper and the resin. So
Nice. Okay.
I've got a bunch of images that I have printed out. Yeah, it's almost-
Katie, can you zoom in on these? Look at all the. Okay, I gotta stop looking down there. I can see the themes.
So there's all the images I printed out. I printed this on, it's called brochure paper. It's kind of it's a thicker paper, and it's got more of a matte surface.
Oh, okay.
But you can print
that's a
it
good idea.
on matte photo paper, glossy photo paper. I would pick a sturdier paper that is less porous. So like matte paper, photo paper. Any photo paper will be good. And so then you want to, if I can get it open, you want to put some sort of gloss gel or acrylic sealer over top. And so you just take, I do these before I cut them out, just so I don't get the gloss gel all over my hands.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So you'll just do the front of the image. And then once that has dried, you'll flip it over and you'll do the same thing to the back. I recommend doing at least 2 coats. You can do 3 coats, and that would be even safer. 1 coat, you may miss spots, and you'll find those out when you put it in resin. You'll find
Does it
those.
start curling or
No,
the
it
color
just
change?
goes clear.
Oh.
It just completely goes clear. It's like there's no image there.
Oh no.
So you'll want to let that dry. It takes not too long to dry, about 5 minutes to dry. Flip it over, do the same to the back. And I have some
Would
that
the
I've already...
same thing happen with fabric?
The same thing would happen with fabric.
Okay.
You probably want to use the same gel medium on fabric. I have not done fabric, but I have seen other people who have used fabric in theirs, and they do the same thing. They coat it with some sort of barrier between that, because it is much more porous than paper. So you would definitely want to eliminate the absorption factor, keep the resin from absorbing into the fabric. And so I have some here that I have already coated. And you can see on the front and on the back it's glossy. You can also see brush strokes, but don't worry about the brush strokes because you won't see those once you put resin on it. And so you just cut them out, or luckily my bezels
look at you.
are an inch, so I can use my little inch hole punch and just punch it out, and it's ready to go.
Oh, now you have Katie's attention. She's like, oh my god, it's a hole punch.
Yes, I like to buy my bezels to fit my hole punches, not my hole punches to fit my bezels.
Oh yeah, probably smarter.
And so once you have, and I don't have my scissors, we'll just do the circle
You
one.
need scissors, Katie? There's some scissors right over there. he's got scissors. See?
So just punch the rest of these out.
Okay. Do you want me to cut these ones out?
Yeah, that'll work. And so the first project we're going to do is the photographs and the bezels. And first I'm going to have to show you how to mix your resin. For this, we will be using the Envirotex Light Pour On. It's a glazing resin. And the difference between a glazing resin and a casting resin is simply that you're not supposed to, it's not supposed to be more than an inch thick. If you pour it in something that's deeper than an inch, it will bubble because the cure time is slower and it gives it enough time for the bubbles to form before it starts setting up. If you use a casting resin, it cures a lot faster, so there's less time for bubbles to form in there. So this is a 1-to-1 ratio, and I'll show you a 1-to-2 ratio later. This is a 1-to-1 ratio resin. Pour the same volume of hardener as you do resin. Let me get my mixing cups out. You want 2 mixing cups.
So little.
Yes, I like using little medicine cups because they have milliliters, so the measurement is
Smart.
very exact. Perfect. All right. So we'll go ahead and get our bezels out.
Ooh, shiny.
I know, nice and shiny.
Stop
Now for
laughing.
these, we have these small ones. We have bezels. For this one, we do not have a bezel, but I will show you how to take care of paper pieces that do not have bezels. All right, so let's see if I can see the measurements. You'll want to measure out equal parts hardener and resin, and I'm gonna go with 10 milliliters. It's probably too much, but better to have too much than too little.
Yeah, probably.
Because then you'd have to mix some more and try to get it all mixed before 20 minutes is up, before your pot time is. All right, so 10 milliliters of that, and we want 10 milliliters of our resin. All right. Now, you pour your hardener into your resin and try to get all of it out of the cup.
Does it matter which goes into which, or do you want the hardener to go into the
Doesn't
resin?
really matter which.
Okay.
I just find it easier because the hardener is usually less viscous.
Okay,
It's less
yeah.
thick, so it's a lot easier to pour out.
That makes sense.
And then you start stirring, and you want to stir gently so you can avoid air bubbles forming. You can always get rid of a few air bubbles, but if you get a whole lot in there, you'll have trouble.
yeah.
You'll have trouble getting all those out. And see, I've already got some bubbles, but it will go cloudy when it first starts mixing together.
Well, yeah, the chemical reaction is going to make some.
And then it starts getting clearer the more you stir. You want to stir until it's completely clear and you do not see any kind of marbling from the hardener. And hopefully it'll show up on camera so I can show you. Because
Yes.
that is where a lot of people mess up, is they stir it till it gets clear, but they don't stir it for that extra few seconds. And I think you can see where you can see towards the edge where it's not mixed in. You can see a little bit of marbling. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
But
just
you want to keep
slightly, yeah,
yeah.
I can.
But you want to keep stirring until all of that goes away. And it looks like I'm pretty good. And yes, I have bubbles, but we'll get rid of those. All right. Then, this is another step that some people skip, and that's why their resin doesn't cure. You want to pour it back into the cup that had the hardener, because there's still a little bit of hardener left in here.
Oh.
You want to make sure you get
to
all
make
of
sure
that.
it's the.
You get exactly equal amounts.
Brilliant.
It's actually better to have the slightest bit more hardener than resin. because the hardener is, of course, what makes it cure.
Yeah.
So then you want to stir
Oh,
this
gosh,
as well
Err on the side harder.
until all of it is clear. All right. So now our resin is ready to go. And if you can see these bezels, the thing that what's that called? The ring at the top.
Yes.
Where,
Clasp. It's a clasp.
yeah, there we
Or
go.
something,
There we
I
go.
guess. We'll go with that.
That it does not sit flat with the bottom of this. So you want to set it up on something
Ooh.
to make sure.
Doohickey.
Yeah, the hanging doohickey. There we go. To make sure that they are all.
I would not have thought of that, and then it would have been.
Oh, I did not think of that either.
That's a
The
good
first
point.
time.
Like we learned with pouring, you want to
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
level surface.
yeah.
Yes. Level surface is
the
good.
table.
Oh,
We did ahead of time, Katie.
Oh, yes.
Once bitten, twice shy.
All right, so we're going to put one of our photos in the bezel, and you want to put a drop of resin in first. And you want to smooth that out to the edges. This eliminates air bubbles from forming underneath the paper, because if you do not do this step, the paper will either float to the surface because it is not adhered down to the bottom, or there will be air bubbles trapped under the paper, and when you're not looking while it cures, they'll pop up and then you'll have a big old bubble.
Oh.
And you don't want that.
No, that's bad.
So once we have some resin in there, we put our image in, and we smooth it out, making sure there's no bubbles, because bubbles are like your #1 enemy with resin. It will spill out the sides, but that's okay. We can clean that up. Oh, right. And see, there's a little air bubble. Good thing I'm still going around and pushing it, because if I had not done that, the air bubble would have popped up, because, you know, heat rises, and as it heats up, it pushes those air bubbles up, and they'll rise to the surface. All right, so now that is adhered to the bottom, you want to put just a tiny bit of resin. I may have put too much, but that is okay. There we go. Now, see all those bubbles? We're gonna fix that. You can use a heat gun, or an embossing tool. That's what this is called, but it's a heat gun. Or you can use a lighter, or you can even set your cup. I wouldn't set that, but set your cup in a little bowl of warm water to cause the air bubbles to rise. Heat makes it rise. If you're doing your resin in the summer, you'll get less bubbles because the resin is warm. If you do your resin pieces in the winter, you'll get more bubbles because it is cold. All right, so we need to pop these bubbles. Come on, heat gun. Look at them. They're going in. Yes, they do.
It's like a
Alright.
caustic.
Use, like,
Only
a little-
easier.
Yeah. Could you use like one of those little torches? Or is
Yes.
that too?
A lot of people use
Like a creme brulee torch thing?
Yes, a lot of people use that. Some people, for bigger pieces, will use blowtorches. That's a little overkill for me. I'm not
Oh,
going to use
my.
a blowtorch on this. But if you do a bigger
Just
piece,
asking for problems.
you might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not going to catch on fire.
Yeah.
No, unless you like stick the flames directly in the resin.
Okay.
And then who knows what would happen.
Might be a way to get some of those hunky fireman friends of yours to come to your house, though, Amanda.
All right,
True.
so I'm going to go
That's
ahead
true.
and take care of the bubbles in this. Just heat it up, and the bubbles on the surface are gone. There's still a couple bubbles in the bottom, but you can take care of those as they come to the top. All right, do you want to try a piece?
Oh, God. Sure.
You know they like
gonna-
to watch you struggle.
Yeah, no, well, get ready. Which is easier, the round or the square
The
to
square is really easy.
do? Okay, well,
'cause it's
then we're
deeper.
gonna... Okay, so we're tapping out a little bit in this, in here.
Just a little dot.
Okay, is that about...
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Is it good to get it all the way to the corners?
Yes,
With
you
the
want to get
square
it.
ones,
You
try
want
to cover the entire...
cover the bottom. Because any place you do not cover will probably result in an air bubble.
would a hairdryer work, or is that not hot enough?
A hairdryer would work, but it blows out a little bit too much air, so you'd have to be careful. If it's level with the surface that you're pouring it into, it may blow the resin out of the bezel. But it does get hot enough. I did use a hairdryer before I got the heat gun.
See a spot I missed. There we go.
We're doing all the dog ones today.
Okay, you thought you have to do the dog ones.
You want to kind of tell them what you're doing as you're doing it, Amy?
I'm trying not to make a mess, and no, I'm gonna tap it from the front to back, just because I don't know if that's the way to do it, but I would imagine
Yes,
that's the way to get the
to go from
kind of
one
gradually
edge to
work
other.
the. Oh, yep. See, just burped some air bubbles, and it sunk. So is that a pretty good indicator that the air bubbles all?
Indicator, yes.
Okay, I pushed kind of equally across this way, and then slowly pushed it down, kind of tapping it, and then it burped a big air bubble out. So I think it's.
I think you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's level with the bottom.
Okay. Let's make sure. All right. It feels like it's pulled down pretty tight. Okay. So I just want to pour a little.
Just pour a little. Pour less than you think you need,
Okay.
because it'll flow to the edges. You can always add a little more.
Trying to kind of see. That actually looks
Yeah,
pretty
you're
good.
level.
Okay.
All right.
If I
So
just
then we
drop
want to give it a
something, I got
blast
no clue
with
what it
the
was.
heat gun to pop the bubbles. I keep moving it around because this also
Yes.
is
It's warm.
some,
I can feel
some
the heat.
air out, and you do not want to blow your resin out of the bezel. So keep it moving.
Oh, that's so cute. Ah, look how clear that gets. That's amazing.
It is cool.
Very cool.
All right, so now that we have made our little bezel pieces, what do you do if you have a piece of paper that does not have a bezel? Well, you can dome it.
Yep.
And doming resin is a little trickier, but if you go really slow, you'll be okay. So what you want to do to dome resin, definitely put it on a surface that you can peel it off of, just in case it spills over the edge.
What do you mean by doming it? Like, it's just
We
gonna
dome
make
the resin. And
with no edges.
yeah, it's tricky. It takes a little bit of practice, and you just have to go slow. All right, so I have to get really close up to this one.
I'm gonna do the light like
All right.
that so she can see it.
So I'm going to take a few drops at a time because you don't want it to flow to the edge yet. You just want to put it all in the middle. I think I need a little bit more. I think that'll be okay. All right, and then you want to smooth it to the edges, but don't get it quite to the very, very edge or it will pour off the side.
Can you see that pretty well, Katie, with the thing? With the camera? Can you see it pretty?
Okay.
Awesome.
I've got smaller screens now, so.
Oh, yeah.
All right, there we go. And you see it.
How bright that makes it.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And there is enough surface tension that it will dome rather than pour off the side.
Can you see it that
What
way?
kind of mat do you have?
Oh, you can see it. Oh, crap.
This is a silicone mat. It's actually another
You see
silicone
that?
mold that I've turned upside down.
You take it from this angle.
Everything has to be
Can you see it down now?
multi-purpose in my art studio.
That's so cool. Yeah, you can really see it on the corner, especially. You can see it doming.
Can you guys see it?
That's so cool.
Kind of.
And if it pours off the edge, this is why you want to have it on a silicone surface or a rubbery surface that you can peel it off of. Because if it does spill over the edge, you can just peel that off, sand off the excess that has spilled over,
Okay.
and then just kind of fix it up. Put another coat on it or put some gloss finish on it or something like that.
That's so cool.
What are the chances we could pick that up?
Oh gosh.
Just the whole
I
thing,
can
you think
pick
it'll
the
work?
whole thing up.
I just can't get that low.
Okay, there we go.
And see if they can
Does this
see
work?
it.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, now we can.
There?
There we go.
Cool.
But you can see that
It's Especially on the circle one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I would check the resin, check back every 10 minutes and see if any air bubbles have formed. If you look on this one real close, you can see there's 2 little air bubbles here. So I'm gonna pop those. Alright. And I would check it every 10 minutes until about an hour in. Once an hour has passed, it's tacky enough that it's not going to form any more bubbles, and you couldn't get them out even if even if you were to use a heat gun. Yeah, they're in there to stay. So that is how you embed paper. And what you would do with the domed one, after the front has cured, you would turn it over and you dome the back.
Oh, cool. Nice. Then now to finish that, if you want to make it a pendant, would you just drill a hole through the whole thing? Okay.
Just drill a hole.
Awesome.
All right.
What size bit do you use for that? Do you know off the top of your head? Because now I'm curious.
I'm trying to remember.
Tiny?
It's teeny tiny. Yeah, I think it's
Is it like a jeweler's bit, or can you put them in a regular, like a cordless drill
you
or something
can
like that?
find ones that small. I have a Dremel, and that's what I use.
Oh, good idea.
It's one of the Dremel bits. It's the smallest drill bit you can get for the Dremel. But you can find very, very small, I think it's like a couple millimeters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Bits for regular screwdrivers.
Okay. Cool.
They make them very, very
Yes,
small.
Frida.
Going back to the flowers, pardon my gravel. Going back to the flowers, one of the viewers asked how you get it not to float.
We'll go over that
Yep.
too. It's
We're getting
very
to that.
similar with the paper, and I'll show you that when we get to it.
Alrighty. Yay. Okay. What do we do next? Big stuff.
Next, we will be. Where's my other? Oh, there's my other mold. We had it on the table the whole time. Okay, next we will be showing you how to make this little nature diorama, would you call it?
Okay.
In resin.
Yes.
And this is where we'll show you how to do the flowers, and we'll show you how to do the little sea turtle and all that stuff. This one is the most fun, and this is the one I would recommend using with the Envirotex light, because it does have a very long pot time, so you can really play around with it for a long time and get it just the way you like it. All right, so
There's so many things
I know.
I see, Katie.
Like one of these, that's what we're doing?
we're doing
Like this.
this one,
flowers.
this
These.
one, and this one.
Right there.
But that is the same principle. The big
Yeah.
one is the same principle.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
See if we can get it so you can see the logo.
It's so much. And these you can find them in nature, you can buy them in a craft store. Wherever you find cute little things that you want to embed in resin, just buy them. I actually buy charms, and I'll cut off the little ring at the top, and I'll use them as like the little turtles.
That's a good idea.
You see, I've cut the ring off the top, so they're just a little metal piece, metal embellishment.
Look at the tiny little shells. Oh my gosh, those have been like pre-shined and
Those
all
are
that.
awesome.
Oh, cool! Look at. Ooh.
All right, so first we're gonna do the flower one.
Okay.
I have all these pieces that I have gotten from my yard. You can even smell them.
We can.
You can smell the.
Smells good.
I think it's the.
Oh, look at the tiny little ferns.
They're so cute. All right, so these are the ones that I told you you could dry in the microwave. You can just put them between 2 paper towels, put a plate on top, and you can just put them in the microwave for like 15-second intervals until they feel somewhat dry. Then bring them out, leave them overnight, and they'll be dry the next day. So for these, and like you said, you do have to worry about them floating because they are very, very light. Do the same as you would with the photographs. You put a little bit of resin in your mold or bezel or whatever you're working in, and then you pick your pieces out and place them in. Which ones do you think would go well?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm already planning things. Frida's nodding like, yes.
A leaf.
There's some really pretty, these little
flowers.
purple things are really cute. These little
This
tiny.
is actually Mexican heather.
Oh, nice. Oh, look at this little tiny. It's so cute. Look at this one.
I think I'm going to use these 3 and that one, and I'm going to use a little bit of just cellophane glitter
Ooh.
to add a little shine. All right, so we want the leaf to go in the very back. And the good thing with resin is you can give it a very layered look. You can push things all the way to the bottom, or you can only push them halfway. And they tend to stay where you put them if you pour your resin in layers. So pour a little bit in, place a couple pieces, pour a little bit more, place a couple pieces. Gotta get the little small pieces out. There we go.
I'm never gonna look at glitter the same. Now I want to go buy a bunch of glitter.
This is the only time I like glitter,
Yes.
because it will be in here forever and never get on anything I own.
Yes. Theoretically, anyway.
Yes.
It's large enough pieces where that shouldn't happen.
Then you pour a little bit more. Make sure it goes all the way to the edge. And at this point, I would probably pop a couple bubbles. Oh no, the flowers. The flowers are flying away.
I killed him. I'm sorry. Here,
It's
here's
okay,
another
we
one.
have another one.
Oh my gosh. I can't. I don't have a fingernail to get it. I'm sorry.
It's okay, I got it.
Oh my gosh.
I got this one
Leave
right
it to
here.
Amy to smush the flowers.
All right, so we'll put our little mum flower and our little Mexican heather flower.
Here we go. It's harder to see because it's in the purple thing, but
Yeah, it is. It's quite difficult to see. And with flowers, you really want to push each petal and make sure there are no air bubbles underneath. The mums are terrible for doing that because they actually have little pockets inside, and you don't see the little air bubbles. I've got one right there.
it's gonna look so pretty with that kind of glittery stuff with it in the background with the purple.
And last but not least, and then we pour it all the way to the top and give it one last blast with the heat gun. And then you set it aside and let it cure. All right, so now, do you want to do the beach scene?
Sure.
For the beach scene, we have sand, shells, tiny little starfish. We have a couple different types of rocks, and we have some moss for seaweed, and we have our little turtles.
Oh my goodness.
So first I would recommend pouring a little bit of sand in the bottom and then pouring some resin into it and mixing it in.
All right.
That way you make sure that the sand is fully incorporated in the resin and you won't have to worry about the sand falling out once you demold it.
Okay. Oh God. They're childproof. Can you open that,
Yes.
please? I can't
There we
get
go.
it. Yes, Frida.
One of the viewers asks, when you're making a pendant like this, is the top going to be the bottom of the pendant?
Can you do
That is a good question.
Yes.
It depends on
I'll try to.
how you want it to look. You can
Okay.
go from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom. It really doesn't matter with these molds because it will be clear all the way through. I usually, because these molds will actually give it a little bit of a smoky finish, it won't be completely crystal clear.
Less, more.
Tiny bit more. I usually have the actual top of the mold be the top of my pendant.
Okay, is that
Thank
good?
you.
That's good.
Okay.
All right, so you want to put a little dot of resin in there and just mix it in.
About like that? Or more?
That's good.
Okay. And just stir it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to get resin on the stick like all icky, is it?
Well, we have a paper towel for that.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to completely cover the bottom because you'll be putting so many different elements in it that you won't always see all the way to the bottom.
Do I want to try to kind of space it out some? Like,
Yes.
try to, okay.
Yeah, that would be good.
I know.
Amy's constantly
Amy's quiet. What's
I
wrong?
think we're
Did
good.
the show end? Okay.
All right. So pick out your elements that you would like to put in the resin.
Right. If I can open them. We got to put a turtle in because people can see that easy. And we got to do a starfish because I like the starfish.
If this is already hardened, like if and you decide you want to go back and put like another layer on top of it,
You can layer it as many times
as
as
many
you
times
want.
you want, even if it's dry, so it doesn't have to be wet to adhere to yourself.
No,
itself.
it does not have to be. That's the good thing about the epoxy versus the polyester. The epoxy resin tends to adhere to itself after it's cured much better than the polyester resin does.
Cool.
The weeds are. This is really seaweedy. Come on. I don't want to break all your seaweed, but I feel like I.
Oh, just go for it. Just rip it apart.
Here, we'll give him one little. I guess we should have two little pieces. You think? Kind of. All right. This is where tweezers would be helpful for Amy.
I have used tweezers before. The problem is when you get the tweezers in the resin never comes off.
Oh yeah, that's probably bad. Ooh,
Look at that blue one.
The blue one? That's not a very natural looking shell.
So,
Look at this pretty one.
sounds cute.
And look, there's a pointy one. There we go.
Alright.
Do we want rocks at the bottom, or does it matter?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I think we have enough elements. Okay. So let's add a little bit more resin so that our pieces have something to stick into.
Okay.
And then you can begin placing them wherever you like.
Now, are you using this as like the top, or was that just the top of your
That was just
thing? It doesn't necessarily matter.
I actually used these to make those molds,
right.
so it's got the little tab on it.
Okay.
I sand the tab off.
Okay.
And I'll be showing that later on as well, what to do with your pieces, how to clean them up.
All right. Should I push that down now that I've put it in, or can I put other things in and kind of...
Yeah, you can put them all in at once and
Okay.
then just push them down.
Okay. See, the turtle needs to be swimming up here.
And these pieces are a little easier to do than the flowers because they do not float. A lot of the pieces are a lot
that's
heavier,
true.
so they'll sink to the bottom.
Okay. All right. So just do. Oh, I guess I need to kind of.
Just push them down just a
Push
little
them
bit,
down a
make
little.
sure they're really sticking in there.
Yeah.
And you can pour and fill
I'm
it
gonna
to
fill
the top.
that one with the. It had a big hole in the shell because that's probably gonna air bubble up.
Those little starfish are so cute.
Mm-hmm. You'll live forever. So sorry. I don't know. I love starfish, but they are incredibly morbid little creatures.
All right, I think we have enough. And so just give it a blast with the heat gun.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it has any bubbles, but like
Yes,
she said,
it's
this
gonna
has a
be-
hole, so you want to encourage the bubbles to come to the surface. Well, look at that. We didn't have a bubble in there after all. It may come out later.
Okay.
Come out to haunt us later. We'll have to check back in with it.
Cool.
All right. So that is what you can do with clear resin. Now we're going to get into coloring resin. The fun stuff.
I'm gonna close this because otherwise I'm gonna knock those flowers everywhere. I can see it now.
So for coloring resin, you can use almost anything. Like I said, if it's very water-based. Water and resin are not friends, so you probably don't want to use like, what is very water-based? Like very...
Like what you wouldn't want to use watercolors.
Yeah,
or
no watercolors.
gouache or things
Yes.
like that that are more of a water mixable. You want something that's already like it, like inks.
Inks.
Even though it's acrylic, it's still like
Yes.
more viscous, where it's not going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oil paints, you can use oil paints to color it as well. The easiest thing to color resin with is actually, let's see, hold on. Gotta see where we are.
Yeah.
Okay. The easiest thing is actually Pearl-X powder because it's already a dry pigment powder. So it's not gonna react with anything in the resin because it's already dry, and it's very easy to mix in. You don't have to worry about if it's water soluble or alcohol soluble or whatever kind of soluble. it's already dry, so you don't have to worry about it.
Nice.
So for these, let's see.
Plus, it's pretty. Pearl-X makes, if there's a color you like, there's that, and 10 more you didn't know you needed.
Exactly, and they come in just regular matte colors, and they also come in shimmery, metallics,
Yeah.
all kinds of
There's sets. There's like 2-3 sets, and then one gigantic set. I like
Alright.
the metallic blues and the metallic color. Yes.
So for
All right.
this one, I gotta find my molds.
Oh, yes.
Here we go. Ta-da! We have all of these crystal molds, and I made them using.
Can I show the ring that has the crystal?
Yes.
Just so they can see it. Katie?
I'm coming, sorry.
She put that on there so we can show it. Look how shimmery it is.
And that is
Isn't that
actually the
pretty?
Pearl-X.
Isn't that fancy?
Sorry, we're testing YouTube today.
That's
so
fine.
I'm running around a little bit more than normal.
And so what I use to make these molds are just a combination of just regular craft store crystals that you would make jewelry with, and I also made a piece out of polymer clay and put it in the resin mold and then just popped it out. Now with the polymer clay, you won't get as much of a shine to your finished piece,
Right.
but you can always shine it up later with another coat of the resin. All right, so we will be showing this Pebeo glazing resin, and this is a 1-to-2 ratio.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to be mixing 2 times as much of the resin as the hardener.
This is starting to get mathy.
I know. Well, it's a whole lot better than
Oh, no, I know, yeah.
polyester
No,
resin.
I
'cause that
agree.
you have to like weigh
No,
it,
yes,
and then how
that's-
deep it is, and
Yeah, I did that once with alcohol inks, and people came outside and went back inside because it stunk so bad. Literally, I was outside at the picnic table. And they were like, "Oh my god!" They came out to smoke. I'm not polluting my lungs, but your resin is polluting my lungs, so I'm gonna go back inside. I'm serious.
it smells
Like,
stronger than
4
yes.
different people were just like,
It's enough to chase anyone away.
yeah, that was my dance with resin.
All right,
Short-lived.
so for this one, I have mixed 10 milliliters of the resin to 5 milliliters of the hardener.
Okay.
Get another stir stick.
Yeah, not to use the same stir stick.
Yeah, because they're not formulated in quite the same way. And that's another thing about resin. They don't have the ingredients on the package, so you don't know if they'll play well together.
Yeah.
So it's safer to just keep
assume
them
no.
apart.
Yeah. Just assume they don't. Oh, I don't know where this.
You want to mix this resin the same as you did for the Envirotex Light. Just mix it until it's clear, pour it back into the other cup, mix it some more, and then you'll be ready to go. This one has a longer pot time than the Envirotex Light. Or does, no, it has a shorter pot time than the
Nope.
Envirotex Light. Make sure I get my facts
You never
correct.
know. That's okay.
It has a shorter pot time. That's why I'm not using it for the dioramas. That's why I'm using it for the...
Okay, okay. Good to know. So, Pebeo for the quick stuff.
Yes.
Short name, short and sweet, hot time. How about that?
There we go. All right.
Plus glazing, when you do glazing, it dries fast, right?
Yes, you
Painters
want it to
know.
dry
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah, so
that's
same
why
thing.
they
It's a
formulated
good way to remember.
That's
Glazing,
why
quick
they formulated
drying.
it. All right.
I'm trying to come up with helpful things, Frida. Please give me a look.
Help everyone remember.
Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to be helpful, kind of. More entertaining myself because I'm excited and I want to go do it.
So for you, since you love copper,
Woo-hoo!
we have a coppery.
Katie, look at that.
Is that? Show them the box. This
Yeah.
is this one?
Yes.
Is this
The glazing?
Yes.
I'm actually going to.
Did it? Oh crap! I forgot we gotta pop these open. Oh my God, Katie. Everything in here is gonna be copper because I'm holding it.
Yeah.
Last time
Look.
she opened pigments, I got home,
Just don't
walked
let her
across my
sneeze.
kitchen barefoot, and had phthalo blue footprints because it somehow got inside my shoe.
And I was Thalo for like days. Look at how.
So was my foot.
Look.
Okay, Amy, put it down.
Don't make it
have it
rain.
on me. Don't make it rain. Copper rain. Okay.
So
You
I'm
never
going to
heard
get
that
out
song
a
again.
couple
Okay.
different cups
Whoa.
so
look
that
at
we
those
can
colors.
make a bunch of different colors.
Yay! That blue is fantastic.
I love the blue.
Oh, and you got like the violet pearlescent kind of.
Mhm.
I'm so excited.
We're going to do a bunch of different colors and show you a bunch of different techniques with the Pearl-X powder.
Okay.
So one technique, you just put some Pearl-X powder in your resin, mix it in, pour it in the mold.
Okay. Do I need to do that with the cup? I'll just wait. I'll wait until you tell me.
All right.
I'm gonna mess something up. I'm too excited. This is fun. It's sculpture.
Yes. And you mix it in really well. Make sure there's no little pockets of powder.
Katie's showing them she still has the phthalo the phthalo drop cloth thing that's still stained from me.
They can see underneath this.
Yeah.
So for this one, I'm going to pour it in the deep mold. And I don't have enough to fill up the entire mold because...
Look at that. Can you see that, Katie?
Yeah.
There we go. Woo.
Because I want to fill the remainder with the clear. And it gives it kind of like a quartz crystal amethyst kind of look where it
Oh,
fades
nice.
to
Okay.
clear.
Do they mix?
They will mix a little bit. Let's see if I have some over here for you to
This
look
one?
at. Yes, like this one.
I can't
Oops.
do this.
Here.
Let me hold her on.
Like this one. I poured in the purple Pearl-X powder. I poured that one in, and then I poured in clear, and you see it kind of, there's
Flip
a,
it so you can see this on the other side. There you go.
you can see the gradient where it kind of
yeah.
mixes together. It gives it a real natural stone
Yeah.
look.
Sparkly.
So that's one option. Another option, my favorite option,
Yeah, this is the one I like too.
is to take a small fluffy brush and take some Pearl-X powder and dust it on the inside of the mold.
Ooh, look at that.
This will give it a really nice shine.
And the resin wets it and picks it up.
Yes, and it stays in there. You don't have to worry about any excess falling out. So for this one, I'm actually going to make a blue and pink crystal.
Frida's about ready to, her head's about ready to explode over there. She's like, oh my God.
I love sparkly.
So mix the blue in, again, making sure that it is fully incorporated. There's no little pockets of powder. This one you'll be able to see how it mixes a little bit better than the deeper mold. And then you pour your clear in. And you can kind of see that it's already kind kind of flowing and mixing and curling in there.
Now, can you take like the end of a toothpick or something and kind of pick and pull a little, and then just heat gun it to make sure it doesn't, if you've put any air bubbles in? Okay.
Yes, you can do that.
But or you can just leave it like that, where you've got more of that. Oh wow! I just saw the blue move.
And the more you heat the
That was
resin, the more it
exciting.
moves.
Nice.
So now it is your turn. You can decide whether you want to dust it into the mold first, or if you want to
do
color
the
it.
dusting.
Alright, make sure this-
Yeah.
And you don't just have to stick to one medium. You can use Pearl-Ex powder with acrylic ink. You can use Pearl-Ex powder with alcohol ink. You can mix them together. Like dust the Pearl-Ex powder in the mold, and then color your resin with the alcohol or the acrylic ink or alcohol ink, and then pour that in. It gives it kind of a.
Oh, could I do that with this?
You can.
All right.
Do you want to use some alcohol ink?
Yes, please.
Or not alcohol ink.
Stop
acrylic
laughing
ink.
at me. Yes.
Oh
We
no.
have some Liquitex acrylic ink.
Oh, I think that would be really pretty with it. Oh yes, a muted pink with that would be really pretty. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Okay. So just.
So just
Might need to shake.
Oh, do I
It looked like it was settled on the bottom.
shake it?
Shake, shake. Shake, Samara.
And how much should I put in?
I just put 1 drop and then stir it in and see how that looks. You can always add more. Now with the acrylic ink, since it is a water-based medium, you want to do less.
Yes.
Because the more water-based mediums you add to your resin, the harder it is for it to cure.
I'm gonna put 1 more drop in. It's just a little lighter than I care for.
Now for years, I've been doing resin for about 8 years, I think.
Wow.
And for years, this is the only medium I put in my resin, was the alcohol ink. Because I was too scared to try anything else. The second thing I did was put the Pearl-Ex powder in. And once I put the Pearl-Ex powder in, that was it. I just like, my palette exploded. I was trying everything. All right. So did it fill it up?
Yes, it did.
All right. Good.
All right. Oop. And I must have had it leaning back because now it just looped forward. This little.
All right. Let's give it a little
Yep.
shot with the heat gun.
All right.
So pretty.
Oh, I see the blue coming up more even now. That's awesome.
And it keeps moving.
Oh, and I can see some of the copper coming up through it.
You can see a little metallic shine.
Yeah, some of the metallic shine, little sprinkles are coming up.
And I'm actually going to
Be
use
quiet,
this
Freedom.
one to make a acrylic ink crystal.
Ooh.
I'm going to use purple. I'm going to go ahead and give it 2 drops. Since you used 2 drops
Yeah.
and you had a little less resin than me, I think that'll be good.
Oh, that's very lovely.
Yes.
It looks like cough syrup. Grape cough syrup.
Diamond
It does. That's what I was
There
just
we go.
thinking. It's like I remembered nights of that. This is the resin has not. I have not even noticed the smell. I don't know about anybody else in here.
No, you barely
It's not.
noticed.
It's not irritating my. But I'm like one of those people that automatically my eyes are watering and all that. This has not done a thing to bother me. It hasn't bothered Frida yet either.
Yeah, I have a very, very sensitive respiratory system and very sensitive skin, and I've never had a problem with this resin.
That's awesome.
Our bathroom air freshener here gives me instant.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And
That
I
stuff is
haven't
horrible.
even noticed this.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right.
Very
so
cool. All right. Well,
Now that we've done Pearl-Ex powder,
do you need to hit that with
and-
the heat gun real quick?
might
Is that
need
the one
to,
you just
yeah.
poured just to?
yeah,
I see
you're right.
bubbles too
There's some
there.
bubbles.
That's why you like. We're all like.
That's why you want to keep it moving.
Yes. Oh, so
All
funny.
right.
Yay.
So we've done Pearl-Ex powder, we've done acrylic ink, and now we are going to do alcohol ink.
I think I missed it earlier. How long
He's
does
got
it
an air
take
bubble.
to fully
This depends on the resin. Most resins, the epoxy resins, take anywhere from 9 to 24 hours to cure.
What?
Yes.
Look, that's the one we did the cast
Yeah,
of.
and it's ready to demold.
Oh my god, that's so cool. Oh my, I just sounded really northern, didn't I?
That's awesome.
Oh my god. That's just the coolest. Sorry, I was like, oh, you haven't checked that yet.
Yeah, we can actually
Whew.
probably demold it. Demolding is the hardest thing.
Yeah, that makes me nervous.
There we go.
Oh.
Whoop! Perfect.
There
And
it is.
you'd want to let that sit for 2 to 3 days, then pour in some rubbing alcohol, rinse it out, wash it out with dish detergent, and then leave it another day to dry.
That's so cool.
And then it's ready to use.
We could have just made like a bazillion of those.
I know.
In this time.
All right, now on to...
Oh, I'm seeing a sculpture episode coming up. What? I'm not kidding.
A cheesehead gnome.
Oh yeah.
We need a little bit more of our resin.
Is everybody enjoying themselves, or do people seem pretty excited about this? As excited? Okay, maybe not as excited as Amy, but do they seem relatively enthusiastic? Awesome.
Yeah, everybody's kind of oohing and awing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go after this and buy a
You going
like the
straight to the
most
store?
gigantic silicone putty size ever.
Yeah, I wish they came in industrial tubs.
Yes. Well, I've got a 25-pound bag of clay at home that I'm gonna make some stuff and then make molds of.
We could always talk to the Raleigh store and see if they can order in a larger size for us the next time they place an order.
They have the big ones.
They do have the big ones?
Yeah.
I know they cut back a lot on the sizes recently, so.
Last time I was, this may have been a couple months ago that I was in there. But they
I'm so
had,
glad you came.
like,
This is so
I think
fun.
3 different sizes.
I'm having fun
It's like,
too.
forget if they're learning anything. We're just having a party.
I always get so absorbed in what I'm doing. I'm just like, I don't even know there's anybody else
Yes.
here.
We've forgotten about them. We're just having our own fun party over here. I'm so glad we put Captain America there, by the way.
know.
That was just...
And whose idea was that?
Yeah, I know. Yes, we have a little cutout of Captain America, so we remember to look at you.
Yeah.
If we're grinning extra hard today, though, it's because it's Captain America.
Yeah, standing there, perfect lighting,
Yes.
shield.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Much
See,
better than a smiley face on a sticky
Oh, yeah,
note.
I know. Yeah, blows my smiley face on a sticky note out of the water, doesn't it?
By the way, everybody's using 3 exclamation points or more to explain how excited they are about
Oh,
it.
whoa.
Yes.
That's just...
We are very happy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And really, I mean, the possibilities of embedding stuff in resin are endless. I make comic book necklaces. I take old damaged comic books that can't be sold, and I cut out the characters, and I'll put them in bezels, or I'll just put them in molds, so you get the see-through look.
This has glitter stars in its Wonder Woman.
I even have book pages, like from Prime Prejudice classic novels that have been damaged, and I will cut those out, paint something over top, or just kind of embellish the words.
Plus, you could get silicone molds of anything, like any pre-made mold, and do this. So you could do, you could do like paperweights or any of those types of things too.
Yeah. And ice molds. Ice molds are the best.
Or chocolate molds.
Or chocolate molds, yes. I actually, if you can see the acorn over here.
Oh yeah. Frida. Sorry. Katie. Oh, Katie.
The acorn over here, I just used an ice mold to make little balls of ice. You can pour the resin in that, demold it, glue it into the acorn cap, dip it in the resin to get the point on it, and there you have a little acorn necklace.
I have one in purple and copper.
Yes, you do. Oh, I'm thinking you could put that Perlex powder on the
Yes.
outside edge and have.
I
like,
have
a
not
sparkly
tried
acorn.
that yet. I could have like a little pearl
Oh, yeah.
acorn. That would be so pretty.
Snowballs.
Yes, I could do that. All right, so now we are ready. It's all mixed in.
All right, and we're making. Can we
We are
show
making-
what we're making? These, right?
Yes, we're
Like
making
these. Okay.
these are right here. The geodes.
Yeah, so it looks like a little sliced geode.
And we are going to use the Jacquard alcohol inks. And I'm using the Jacquard Pinata because it has this white alcohol ink that reacts with the other colors and gives it a really cool kind of fractal effect.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really neat. And so how you do these, I'll just show you. You pour a little resin in.
I'm shaking up the gold because this
You
you
gotta
have to
really
be
shake it.
yeah.
And the good thing with alcohol ink is even if it doesn't mix in with the resin, it will still dry because it air dries very fast. So you don't have to worry about it affecting the cure of your resin. That's why I can only use the alcohol inks for this particular project.
Ah, okay.
So you can't mix them in and then pour it in?
You can mix them in and pour it in, but I'm going to show you a really cool effect you can get by pouring in some resin, putting a couple drops of your alcohol ink, and see how it just kind of spreads out naturally. Watch what it does when I add a couple drops of the white. It's so cool.
Have you ever done that and added a couple drops of the gold?
I have.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I've got one.
I've done that on Yupo and it like shimmers through the.
Actually,
I
That's
love
my
that
favorite.
gold. It's so pretty.
Yes. Oh, look at that. How pretty. Ooh.
And you can keep adding-
I didn't know that was violet. Whoop.
different drops, and then if you want any clear, it kind of creates rings. It pushes its way out. If you want clear rings, you can add a little bit more resin.
Oh, what? Look at this. Wow.
And
That
add some
violet
more
is gorgeous.
alcohol ink. I'm gonna add a little bit more white. And last, we're gonna add the gold, so you can see how the gold
Okay.
looks. Or actually, we might do another one and show you how it looks like that one.
Okay. Oh, look at the colors it's making.
There you go. That is so cool.
Yeah,
This is
yes.
the only brand of alcohol ink that has the white that actually reacts that way. I'm not sure what is in this alcohol ink to make it react the way it does.
Oh, sorry.
I think it might have some sort of solvent in it. That is not, it's got something in it other than alcohol.
Oh, look at those rings on the outside where it's the really, that's just gorgeous.
All right, so I'm gonna let you do one.
All right. I'm going to do the red violet version. This is the violet, right? Okay. All right. So we have to pour a little of this
A little
first,
bit of
right?
resin.
Okay. Now, are you pouring it directly on this first,
pour
so
it
then the other
directly
stuff
on
will,
so that
will kind
it's
of
kind
pull
of
down?
equal.
Okay.
Equal, and then also when you put the drops of alcohol ink, it has something to seep into.
Okay. Okay. Is that good? Do you want it all over the whole thing?
Just a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to make sure that it's covering the bottom.
Is it good to push it around, or do you want me to just pour more on?
Just pour a little
Okay.
bit more. You can push it around if you want a really thin layer.
I think
But
I'll
the
put it
alcohol
over
ink, because of the white pushes the other colors down into the resin.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you don't have to worry
we
about
might
them really
want-
sitting on the surface.
Okay. Trying to get kind of it all in the.
Let's get a little shot of heat. There you go.
Okay. All right.
Now pick a color, any color.
Okay. Can you start with gold, or well, I guess that's going to
You
cover
can start
the.
with gold, but
It's
the
probably
thing
better
with
for
the
it
gold
to come up through the.
is the more alcohol
right.
inks you add to it, the more it breaks up that kind of gold
Yeah, yeah.
leaf look.
Okay, yeah, we don't want to do that. Let's do the red.
One of them I tried actually putting some gold in so it would seep out to the corners and you'd have like kind of this gold rimmed geode. But the more alcohol ink you add to it, the more it actually breaks up.
Now, am I wanting to
of
put a
gold.
little bit of epoxy on before the next color, or
I would put a little white in.
Okay.
Next.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. almost making like a little bit of an orange outer thing. That's really pretty. Ooh,
I love how it just like kind of
so pink. Now, do we put the epoxy on or another color?
whatever you want. You can
No,
put
I
as
just
many
don't
drops of
know.
alcohol ink as you want.
I'm gonna put a little bit. No, this doesn't have to be right off the center. Can you put some on the
You
outside?
can.
Okay, let's try. Well, you know what? Let's try right there. Okay. All right. Put a little of this in. Is that good? Can we do that?
Yes.
Because I want to kind of float that color off. There we go.
And actually, here is one of the finished pieces.
That's
You
so
can kind of
pretty.
see it looks almost like an ocean.
Yeah, it does.
I used the green, the blue, and the white.
Love that.
Pretty mix of that copper pearlex.
Yes.
Yes.
I actually have one that I'm actually going to show you how to finish. That I put a little bit of the gold around the edge.
Oh, look at the inside of that. Woo.
And of course, this side is not finished. I'll show you how to finish that. But it's going to look like this side when we're done with it.
Look at the color.
Do you ever swirl the colors around?
You can swirl the colors around. I find that with the alcohol ink, it kind of does its own thing, whether you stir it or not. It really goes where it wants to go. If you were
Okay.
using acrylic ink and putting a couple drops of acrylic ink, you definitely would want to swirl it around because, like I said, the acrylic ink is water-based, so you'd want to mix it into the resin as much as possible.
Look at that.
Oh, that looks so cool.
Oh, look at it moving.
This is why I
I'm
love
very
this.
easy to entertain when it comes to.
That's why I
Flashbacks
love
to all
this.
those pouring paintings we did.
Oh, I know.
And
Oh
look
my
at
gosh,
how the
yeah.
magenta has separated into
Yeah.
this pink and yellow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Look at that.
So if you didn't
Wow.
add gold while it was wet, you could go back in detail with gold.
You could.
That's just so cool. See all the little faces.
And that way you'd have more control of where the gold is on the piece.
All right, so
You
should
could go
we
back with the gold
stop
later?
Then what do we do now?
We can stop, or you can add a little bit of gold, and that kind of coats the surface. So you'll
Okay.
have like a gold backed
Kind
piece.
of. Oh, but then I'll lose all that, won't I?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. Can I just put a little bit more epoxy on to
You
kind of
can,
move
yes.
it around? Yeah, I don't want to lose that because I really like that swirl. All right. And then I will cry if I lose it.
I'm going ahead and
Okay.
prepping our little silicone mat for the next phase.
Okay. Do you want any more? If there's extra.
There is extra, and I'm going to use that
Oh,
extra
yes.
in the next step.
All right.
All right, so these pieces will take 9 hours before I can take them out of the mold, and
Okay.
a further about 9 to 12 hours before they are hard cured
Okay.
to where you can actually pour the finishing layer on. So when you take them out, they may look a little lackluster, like these do not have a lot of shine to them. They're kind of bumpy. The backs look amazing.
Yeah, they do.
But the fronts, not so much. And we also...
So this is the part that's down in the
Yes,
mold like
that's-
that. Okay.
yes.
And this is the part we're
It came
seeing
out of the
here
mold
like
like
this.
this.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
And then I also have these pieces that we've taken out of this mold. And you can see that they have the little tab on them, and we don't want the tab. So what do we do with our pieces when they come out of the mold? And they look kind of scraggly.
All this stuff on your right.
Well, like I said before, the polyester resin you can sand and buff, but this resin, in order to get a nice shine to it, you're going to have to add another layer of resin. But we want to clean up all of these edges, and I just use a nail file because it's very soft resin. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort
Oh, wow, look at that.
to clean up the edges.
That evens it out like beautifully.
It does.
Is that that's just a regular
Just
emery
a
board? It's
regular-
not like one of the ones for acrylic nails
Yep.
or anything.
Nope, this is one from the dollar store.
Well, there you go. Frida, she's speaking your language.
I know. Dollar store is the best place
Frida's stuck
to
her tongue out and made a
find
funny face.
resin embeds. I use the nail jewels that you can get there.
Oh,
I've
I didn't
used
even think
those.
about that.
Anything that can go in nail art, anything that can go on jewelry. Really, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, forget it
So
going on your
there's-
nails, man.
Exactly. So there's our piece all sanded. And this one doesn't need any sanding. This one needs a little sanding because it's kind of up over here, and we don't want it to scratch our skin when we put it on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna file that off just a little bit. Now I'd recommend not holding this close to your face when you file it because you'll inhale all the dust. And while it's not necessarily going to, you know, kill you, it's not going to be pleasant to have a lung full of dust.
Right. Your lungs will be beautiful inside, though.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's purple.
That's so pretty.
So now that we have our pieces sanded, the back needs a little bit of gloss, and these need a little bit of gloss. And we're going to use our resin just like we did for the doming.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to pour a little bit on and smooth it out to the edges. And it gives it a nice shine. If you wanted it all the way around, like on the corners, I don't usually worry about that because you don't see it. But if you wanted it glossy all the way around, you could take a paintbrush that you don't really care about and you could paint it on.
They can just chalk afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, because it's very hard to get resin out of bristles.
Yeah. It's like watercolor masking fluid.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
in there to stay.
Yes. Do not use anything you care about.
Look at how rich the color is now. Wow.
And a little tip for curing resin. There's a lot of factors that go into why it cures certain ways. One thing that happens is if it's very humid, which it is right now.
Which is North
currently
Carolina.
raining, and it's hot and humid. The resin can sometimes get a cloudy appearance. It'll cure cloudy. Sometimes that goes away within a couple days or when the humidity goes down. And sometimes you have to add another layer of resin. But the good thing about this resin is you can add as many layers as you want.
That's awesome.
And so then you just let this cure. And you can either drill a hole in the pieces like we were talking about earlier. Or with these, they already have a hole in them. So you can just loop a little leather tie and create a necklace.
Katie, can you show this one that she did this with?
And that's the easiest. You just loop a little leather twine around it and you're done.
And then I love how you did this one, where you actually did it from side to side. That's nice.
Yeah, this one is the one I went back with the alcohol ink and I painted around the edges.
Nice.
And so,
All right. Questions?
I think we have.
Do we have questions, or have we been answering questions on the way? Or okay. They always have questions. It's good. They're learning.
Yes.
Earring posts. Is there a specific type of glue that you would use to attach them, or can you put them into the resin while it's still
You
wet?
can.
or-
You can put it into the resin while it's still curing. It's a little harder to control where where it will end up. Like if say you were using this one, which is deep mold, you could put a little eyelet in there or something. It may migrate around around the mold while it cures, so you can't control that as much.
What if you took like a toothpick with the
You could-
eyelet and
do
you
that.
could just suspend it down in there?
That
just
would
to
work.
okay.
If it comes up close enough to the top, you
Right.
can do that.
Yeah, obviously that's lower, so that's probably not gonna work.
But you can also drill a hole, and I like to use like E6000 glue, like a very strong glue. You can even use super glue, and then you just super glue whatever jewelry finding you need to put in there, whether it's an eyelet or a little earring stud or wherever.
Okay.
The other question that came up a couple times was cleanup.
I have a very good tip for that. All right, So if you get resin on your hands, it's very sticky. The best way to remove it is to get like some sort of micellar water or oil-based cleaner, and you can just put a couple pumps in your hand and just kind of
It takes it right off.
takes
I
it off.
didn't get any on me.
I got some on
somehow.
me.
That's a miracle.
Is it not?
No, for real.
No, I even cleaned up some that was on the table, just trying to be tidy, and I still did not get any on me.
And you can wash it
It's a
off in the
first.
sink, or I don't have a sink, so I'm just gonna wipe it off.
Yeah.
And that gets all the stickiness off. You might have to do it a couple times if you got a lot on your hands.
Now, so the silicone, that it will peel off.
It
of
peels
that,
right off.
So really, it would be great to have maybe one of the silpat surfaces or
Yes.
something for baking that
That's
you could
what I
put
have at
down
my house.
to peel stuff off. Okay, so that would be definitely easier to clean up.
Yes.
Just peel it off and throw it away.
2 things.
Okay.
Amy, you have glitter on your chin. And number 2,
Uh-huh.
Fabulous.
um,
That's a problem because
before you glue, do you need to sand that area before you apply the glue to it?
No, you do not need to. Depending on the type of glue you use, if you use super glue or E6000 or an epoxy glue, you don't have to sand. If you're using like a craft glue, you may have to sand and make the surface a little bit rougher so it has something to cling to. But most epoxy glues and super glues will adhere to this resin very well.
I think that's everything.
I smelled the cleaner. I still don't smell the epoxy.
I know, you can smell them.
That, yeah,
Water,
yeah. What the heck?
And actually, the micellar water will clean up your surfaces. Like if you're working on wood or a surface you probably should not be using your resin on, and you get it on there, you can really quickly wipe it away and then get a little drop of the micellar water, put it on your surface, and wipe it really good.
Nice. Yes.
The resin, does it yellow?
That is a good question. A lot of different resins yellow. Polyester resin is the worst for yellowing.
Ew.
Since these types of resin are specifically to use on fine art, they have kind of a UV protectant in them, so they will not yellow over time.
So the Pebeo ones.
The Pebeo ones will not.
What about the Envirotex
The
light? Because they
Envirotex-
do claim that you can put that on artwork
Yes.
as a final resin, like a varnish
It
instead
doesn't yellow over time, but the longer it's been on the shelf, the yellower the hardener will become. If you can see, here's our hardener. It's very clear. I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't have any yellow to it. But if this was on the shelf for 6 months, like you didn't get around to using it until like 6 months later, this would be slightly yellow and your resin would be kind of amber colored.
Now, a way to avoid that probably is keep it in the box unless you need to use
Yes. The more it's exposed to the sun, the more it's exposed
Yes.
to heat, the yellower it will become. I've gotten some straight off the shelf that was not stored properly, and it was yellow straight out the box. Those are the ones I just use colorants in. It doesn't get any yellower once it has been poured in a mold and has cured.
it. That's a good point to use the colorants with those.
And it's good to read reviews online just to see what brand to use, because there are some brands of epoxy that will yellow over time, and there are some brands of polyester resin that will yellow over time, and there's just as many that do not yellow over time. So do some research and find which one's best.
When people ask us sometimes specifically, why don't you carry this brand? Why don't you carry that brand? Stuff like this.
Yes.
That's we carry brands that we believe are going to work much better because it's a fine art company, so fine art applications. So
Yes.
yeah.
Going the other direction, can loose eyeshadow be used?
Yes, yes. I use that a lot. Dollar store, again. I buy cheap eyeshadows from the dollar store. Most of the time they are in powdered form. Sometimes they're in the cake form, and you can just break it up.
Now we know what Katie will be doing with all of her
Yes.
Sephora leftover.
And it works.
Once you drop the
I
case.
don't know, we pay a lot of money for
I
that.
know, I was gonna say.
I can't break my babies.
I'm saying once you drop a case and it's
Oh.
all crumbled and ruined.
I know how to put it back.
Oh my goodness.
That's why we go to the dollar store.
yeah, that's
Because I wouldn't put that on my eyes, but I'll put it in the resin.
that's true. That's probably a good point. It is the dollar store.
Cherie would like to know, have you ever done a dandelion fluffy thing in the resin?
I have. That was actually the first resin piece I ever did.
There was one in the thing. I actually
And
almost picked it
It
up.
was the first fail. I was using a resin that I wasn't familiar with. Well, of course, I had never used it before, but I hadn't done proper research into it, and I hadn't done research into how to cure the flower, so I just picked it right off the stem, stuck it in the piece, and
whoops.
it yellowed, and it kind of crumpled into nothing. With dandelions, are really hard, like the ones that are the fluffy ones that don't fall off, because the little seed pods do fall off very easily. I recommend spraying. You can spray a little bit of hairspray on it, something to stiffen it up just a little bit. You can spray acrylic sealer on it, something that will adhere the little seed pods to the base a little bit better, so that when you put it in the resin, it won't fall apart.
Yeah, but it's not until they're literally falling off the plant that they are finally just the seeds themselves.
That's why you want to
getting dry enough, but that head that they stick to is still alive. So that would be the issue. Is how do you have those dry enough to do? But the other thing dry enough to do would be a trick.
You can put it in a vase with no water in it. Just put it in a vase for a couple days, and the stem will actually dry out a little bit.
Yeah.
You can put fresh flowers into resin. The only thing about that is they will turn brown because the heat causes the flower to wilt and turn brown and look really muddy.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind the
resin.
stem being brown, you can put it directly in the resin. If you want it a little bit greener, you can put it in a little vase and let it dry a couple days, and be very, very careful when touching it because it will fall apart very easily.
Were there other questions, Rita?
I think that's everything.
Awesome. Was this not fun? Well, good.
And I wasn't even standing up there.
I know. I know. This is really awesome, and it's exciting, and it's a great way to make gifts and just do like something fun and for a change and
have mobile artwork.
Well, and you know what you could do? I mean, using terracotta, you could do a sculpture. You can make a mold of it. You've got your fine art sculpture over here. You can make fine art sculptures from that, and then you can do some awesome fun stuff in resin. Yes.
And if you wanted to make a larger sculpture, say about this big, like a lot of people make the little vinyl toys.
Yeah.
And I've seen them make them in the resin as well.
Oh.
I would recommend probably the polyester resin because you can make deeper castings.
Right.
If you were to do a smaller piece, say about 1 inch deep, you could use the epoxy.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. All right. Any last question? One other question?
One that
Okay.
you'll appreciate, Amy. Bugs.
What?
And you put the bugs in the resin.
Yes.
Hannah?
I have done bugs in resin. I actually have a little jewelry case that has like little compartments that I have all of my bugs in. I don't kill them. I find them on the ground and figure I might as well use them. You need to let them sit for a really long time. And you need to let them.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, what is she?
I'm not sure what the sign language is for that.
It was just shining real bright.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You need to let those sit for a really long time, or you can put them in. I'm trying to remember.
A desiccant.
A what?
Desiccant.
Yeah.
A drying thing, like the silicone, like the little silicone shoe things that you get, like in your shoes or
Oh, is
the
that what those
packets.
are technically
That is
called?
a desiccant.
Yes, you can put it in
It
that.
means a drying agent. Sorry for the technical term.
It's okay. We're all nerds here.
Yeah. You were like, yeah, I know what you mean. And they're all like, huh? Yeah. Yes, it dries them out.
Yes, that's a good thing. You want to properly cure it, and then also you will want to pour a little resin inside, since really all you have is the exoskeleton
Oh,
of
that's
the
true
bug,
because the
and there will be a lot of air
interior
bubbles.
has.
I have a little bumblebee that I put in resin, and
I bet that
There's
was
not-
an air bubble challenge.
yes, 'cause it's got so much fuzz. The air bubbles stick in all the little fuzz. and
Yeah.
there will be a few air bubbles, unless you have some sort of like pressure pot or something, which
Okay.
are very expensive.
Yes.
And that essentially creates a vacuum to suck
Right.
out all of the air. So there
Oh,
is no
yeah.
air to create bubbles, but those are very expensive.
What if you do like a little layer,
Yeah, you can build
little
it up.
layer, like so that you're kind of building it up and taking those bubbles
Yeah,
out.
you can build it up.
As best you can. I mean, I think it's probably going to be...
Yeah, patience with that one.
No bugs in this area are safe now. Now I have a mission. You're all...
Well, I have collected many. You can have some of my bugs.
Woohoo! That's a dangerous promise. That's awesome. Very cool. That's good to know. Okay, well, is that it, Frida? That's it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having
This
me.
has been awesome. They need to know how they can follow Hannah, because now everybody's in love with Hannah too. And just, this is, you know, she does this stuff, fun stuff on the side, but her other artwork is just absolutely amazing. The places Hannah is going to go are going to be spectacular, and you want to keep kind of chucking in to see, I think. Can you please put up her Facebook page? So
It was posted earlier in the
okay,
episode, and it'll be
good.
at the end of
And
the
it's
comments as well.
Hannah Stayton Art,
Hannah
correct?
Stayton Art,
Okay,
yes.
and you can follow me at Amy Gardner Dean, my artist page, if you like. And do you have Instagram?
I do have Instagram. I have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
So they're all under the same name.
They're all under the same name.
Oh yes, and they can see your stop motion stuff
They can?
with your little.
Yes.
It's a little turtle character. He's so adorable, and the dragon too.
Yes,
Oh,
on
I forgot about
Instagram you
him.
can see the dragon. I don't have him on YouTube
Okay,
yet, but you
okay.
can see him on Instagram.
So yeah, so that's fun stuff. And if you've got kids in the house or grandkids that come to visit, they would love to see it too. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. This
Thanks
has
for
been
having
great.
me.
And thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them there. And remember, if you joined us late, don't worry, don't fret. You'll be able to actually, as soon as this is done, can be restarted at any time. You can watch it 900 times if you want. And the cart that shows all the products other than the findings and some of those things, and you know, the bezels and the jewelry extra accoutrements that are there. The cart is JL58. You can put that in the search bar on the Jerry's Artarama website, and that will pull up. It'll be an easy way to find if you want to try your hand at making some of these molds yourself. You want any of the Envirotex Light or the Pebeo Glazing Resin, any of those things to give this a try, that's where you go to find it. Okay? Thanks guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.